Everybody. Glad to have you all here. Let's see. I'm trying to see. Oh, we got people starting to roll in. Welcome to the Hyperspace Challenge webinar series. We're really excited to have you all here. I just got back from Space Symposium, and my, that's a crazy place. So I'm sure some of you all are still there, and hopefully you're tuning in from there. Really excited to be joined by Casey and Erica of NewSpace Nexus this week, talking about the SSIB and their NewSpace Igniter cohort and all the great things happening over at NewSpace Nexus. They are our neighbors here in New Mexico, so that's great. Just a few things. So as you're rolling in, come say hi in the chat. Tell us where you're from and who you are. And also, if you have questions, feel free throughout the conversation to put those in Q&A. That's the best place for them. It's easy for us to get those, to read those there. In the chat, it's a little bit more difficult, so please keep them in the Q&A. So the Hyperspace Challenge webinar series is designed to answer all those questions that you have as startups in the space industry. And we're just really excited to answer those questions. And if you have anything that you feel like you would like to learn more about, always here, always welcome, always open to chat. And you guys are can give us those ideas, and we'll try to figure out who is the best person for you guys to speak with, because that's our goal here, is to answer those questions. So without further ado, I think we've got some people in here now. I would like to turn it over to Casey and Erica. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. We're so glad to be here, and we're glad to be broadcasting from Space Symposium, not directly on site, but nearby where we're staying. So thank you for this opportunity and being here. My name is Erica Hecht, and I'm going to be moderating today with Casey. My background is I serve as the Chief Strategy and Marketing Advisor for NewSpace Nexus, and I'm also CEO of Market Ascent, a business acceleration firm. And Casey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Casey Anglada DeRaad. I have a long background in military and a little bit of civil space. Started NewSpace Nexus about almost 5 years ago. And basically wanted, after my time with the Air Force Research Lab, just in the latter part of my career, I worked partnerships and could see that the industry just had a hard time navigating, getting to resources. And so we started NewSpace Nexus, and it's all about the space industry, where we want to support space industry to grow, to help them accelerate their pace of innovation. We say from New Mexico for the nation. We work with companies nationwide. We're located in New Mexico, although today we call this Space Camp. We our whole team gets this big Airbnb. We have a lot of fun, and we, we're at the Space Symposium. We have a booth there, and just there to talk to a lot of people. But anyway, so one of the taglines we say for NewSpace Nexus is that we unite and ignite space. And I know today's webinar is going to focus on part of one of our Unite sides, where we are sort of this knowledge nexus for the space industrial base. And so we host these conferences and workshops and try to just keep up with the knowledge base for our companies of this space industrial base. But we'll go into that further in a sec.
Great. Thank you so much, Casey, and for that background, and for all the companies on the line here. What Casey is saying is part of what we do is serve as the voice for industry, and this conference is all about that. So we're excited to tell you more about that. So I'll just start with a very basic question to get us rolling. For the folks on the line here that don't know about the conference, can you tell them what the State of the Space Industrial Base is all about?
Okay, so we started in 2020 with this hosting the State of the Space Industrial Base conference workshop. We like to, it's not your normal conference. In fact, a lot of the space companies call it more of like an unconference. It's very participatory. What we do is each year we work with our key partners so far. A lot of the DoD partners, Defense Innovation Unit, Air Force Research Lab, U.S. Space Force, and NASA. And then this year, we're happy the COMSO office, the commercial space office out of SSC is going to be one of our key partners, and also working with the Space Development Agency or to come in and be speakers. Anyways, so we work with the government side, but it's mostly industry that comes to this. And what it's all about is really looking at kind of topic areas that are key sort of challenges for the space industrial base. And so we'll put together, working groups. We get the companies to participate, to really speak out on, what they see as needed. And the government folks are there to hear. A resulting report comes out that usually DoD leads in writing, and they write up what they heard from this conference and workshops that NewSpace Nexus hosts.
And how did the conference get started?
It got started where actually one of our advisory board, our chairs, Peter Wagner, got together with DIU, and they started talking about how the challenges of how our nation is funding space, and there's these challenges, and we have China's funding and moving faster, and so we got together saying we need to start doing a concerted effort to really speak about these challenges and what we can do. And what's exciting is really this has shaped the national conversation. A lot of things that come out of these conferences since 2020, I see it in these, as we hear these presentations at Space Symposium from these leaders, a lot of things that we've been talking about for the last few years in this workshop shows up in some of the changes with these government leaders.
Yes, it's been really great to see. I've been part of it myself now going on 4 years, and just we track every year, the challenges and the solutions that industry is putting forth, and then seeing the progress in the market, which is really exciting. Casey, can you tell a little bit more about who attends the event?
Right. We had the last couple of years, we have about 400 to 450 attendees. It's generally 85% industry. So, the government leaders come and they love it because it's a forum for industry to participate and share their voice and share where they are having issues, and then it can go affect policy after that. So we're excited. It's mostly space industry is well represented. We have, I think last year was about 175 different space companies were part of the conference and workshops.
That's great. And can you give the audience a little bit of an idea of the past speakers that have attended and participated, and maybe share alongside that a little bit about the structure of the event?
Right.
So the plenary and then the workshops.
Right. We have plenary sessions where we'll have keynotes from key leaders, like the leaders with our key partners. We have General Bucky Bateau, the Colonel Felt back for the Space Air Force Research Lab. Last year we had Dr. Ezine Ozuokoro from the White House. So we'll generally bring General Shaw spoke last year. So we try and get key leaders that are working on key areas with respect to the space industrial base. So we'll set up keynotes in a plenary. And then when we have like what we call our working group topics, we'll set up a panel in the plenary session to kind of open up that topic area. But then we go off and have concurrent working groups. And this is where the companies can really speak up. We use Chatham House rules, which are, where you can write about, you could talk about what was said, but you can't attribute it to who it is. So it really opens up that dialogue where the companies can be open and really, get to these government leaders of where their issues and challenges are.
That's great. And then recommendations too come out of that. Would you like to talk a little bit about the past topic areas as well?
Right. So we started out, it was more of like tech areas like, information services, ISAM actually, and I think like one of the working groups with the information services, and they have logistics and human presence morphed into ISAM. And I think many of you now know that, that in-space servicing, assembly, manufacturing is kind of a key word out there. Really, this started in like 2020, 2021 as one of the working groups. And that's where I say it has affected the national conversation. But we always usually have a space policy and finance. 2 years ago, we started adding, because it's such a key resource and challenge for the companies, is workforce education in STEM. This coming year, we're going to we always have had a space policy and finance working group. And this year we're going to separate that, where we'll have the space policy separate, and we're going to do some discussion on sort of the regulatory issues with novel technology. We're going to have a separate finance and really discuss what are the key financial tools, what are issues with government funding, like all the issues that with these continuous resolution, it's really hard for the companies and the government to operate that way. Also, some of the supply chain issues, we really feel the supply chain is very fragile at that third and fourth level. So that'll be part of some of the working group discussions. Then we'll also still have the workforce. One thing with the workforce is we're doing something different this year, where instead of the concurrent working group, we're going to do what we call a co-innovation session, where we really talk with the whole group on some of the workforce issues. Because a lot of times people they want to go input to the workforce group, but they're also interested in ISAM or the space policy. So it's hard to do that concurrent. So we're going to have that be part of like what we call a co-innovation session in the middle, in the plenary with all the participants. We'll probably have advanced power propulsion. And then we've always, the last couple of years, we've done a partner workshop. We still cover these topics in the main conference, but we did a partner workshop with Space Florida on commercial launch. This year we'll do that again, but we're also going to be discussing novel space delivery tech. So kind of cool to be doing that with Space Florida. Last year, we partnered with Space Northwest, and they ran two of the topics, which was hybrid space communication. They're calling it now the outer net, and then also advanced space power. So they'll probably do those same topic areas, but like I say, the main conference covers all of them, and then we discuss those partner workshops enough to where if you want to go, to the workshop where it's in Florida or Seattle, I think we're going to be doing part of the space policy workshop in DC, now that we have a DC office.
No, that's fabulous. And then with all of this great,
Kelly.
oh, you have a question?
Jump in. Yeah, I had a quick
Yes.
question about that. So just curious, so what do these working groups look like when you get in there? What kind of how can companies that are participating in these working groups prepare? I guess, is there things that they should be looking up, or things that they should know ahead of time or be thinking of?
Well, and this year we're going to send out some surveys so that you could kind of line up the topic areas, but we generally have an outline that the working group chairs follow, where the first session will be like, what's the current state? And everyone sort of brainstorms of what's been going on in that topic area. And then we get to the point of like, where there'll be a session where we really discuss what the challenges are. And then usually like a third session will be like, okay, what are the recommendations? And so we just gather all that information with respect to that topic area.
And that actually leads me right to my next question. There's all this great conversation, discussion, debate. It's really fantastic because with the Chatham House rules, we get into these real, what we call real conversations of, where we've been and where we want to go. So then how does all this great information get rolled up into something useful, right? In terms of a report that does shape the national conversation, like you were talking about.
Right, like each of those topic leads then provides input, and DIU usually leads this. They do a great job. In fact, the 2023 report just came out. We'll be hosting a webinar to unwrap that. But DIU usually leads this, but they take in all the input from that industry input and the discussions in the plenary and write a report. And so we could put a link in the chat to the report also, but it basically pulls it all together. It's a great report. And, one thing that NewSpace Nexus is working to do is be able to be that deposit, that nexus where all of that information is there. Like you could get to the report on the DIU site, but if you go to our space industrial base section of our website, it has all the information of the conferences, workshops. It has presentations from conferences past, and we have the report there as well. So, but like I said, we're trying to dynamically keep up this information on the space industrial base, and we're excited. We just added sort of a program to our portfolio, and we could talk about some of our other programs, but Scott Sadler had been putting out kind of some daily emails where it's inside government, kind of what are the events happening. If there's any presentations of top leaders, he's the go-to for that information. And he's in the audience, but we'll do an intro to him. But if you all are interested in getting this, we call it the NewSpace Sadler Report. And we just launched it this week at Space Symposium. So he's been writing up, great things that the leaders are speaking of at the symposium, and also sharing how we have a booth. And so he's going to get known to our community and hopefully just be add to this, to us, having this knowledge of what's going on with the space industrial base, challenges, recommendations.
No, that's great. And so, so this is all part of NewSpace Nexus really being a knowledge nexus for the industry, both on the government side and the commercial side and academia, right? And they're all coming together at this conference. And so the Sadler Report, as Casey mentioned, is the go-to, source of information for national security news, and also covering other, happenings and events that are going on. I'll just add for the report when it's all done and put out there. And in addition to, giving it to our community and the commercial community, you can find it on our website, but it goes to the administration, the National Space Council, senior policy folks in the Capitol and elsewhere, as well as the VC community. So again, it's widely read, and it's a great place for you to be, plugged in on the important topics that are going out there, and where you fit in. And then again, this Sadler Report is going to be augmenting all of that. So it's really good. These are really good opportunities for you to have your voice heard, as well as to be plugged in. And with that, I'm going to ask Casey, do you have any other additional thoughts on how these events and these resources can help the industrial base, the folks that are on the line here, and how they could be involved?
Well, the folks that are on the line, I think, by the way, this is the Space Industrial Base, SSIB, we call it for short, because State of the Space Industrial Base, at first, we're like, do we want to keep that name? It's so long, but we have, so we kind of just call it SSIB for short, so you guys will know that. It is a hybrid conference because we want people to come in, take part, be part of the working group, discuss those topics, even if you can't travel. Although we really like you to come out. And so anyways, the way it's going to work this year, and we'd love for all your audience, Kelly, to join us. The conference will go 28 through 31 May. It's here in Albuquerque. It's at the Sheridan, which is now a Marriott hotel near the airport. So it's also near a launch pad, which we'll talk about in a sec. But the 28th is going to start out in the afternoon. So it's the Tuesday after Memorial Day. It gives people time to travel. And the 28th is really fun. This is where we give a lot of our companies chances to pitch. So you can invite your Hyperspace companies, our NewSpace Igniter companies will pitch. And then we try and get a lot of the investors and government customers there. And then we have some great reception and networking and food and fun. So that starts off the 28th in the afternoon. And then the main SSIB conference where we go off in the working groups will mostly go the 29th and 30th. That's where we'll have the keynotes. We might have we'll have those co-innovation sessions, the concurrent topic working groups. And then usually the Friday morning is where everyone sort of reports out, like the different working groups come in and we'll have discussion, and generally ends about halfway through Friday. So join us.
Okay, we got a question in the chat asking what the process is to apply to pitch.
We haven't. We'll get back to you.
Well, so the way it works is, and Casey's going to talk a little bit about the Igniter program soon, and there are different levels of support and services in the program, and the companies that are part of our elite program, they typically will give pitches at the event. And then we offer up some slots for additional pitches that are
Like
typically
quick.
1 minute. So they're pretty quick. So I think the best thing probably is to shoot us an email, after this event if you're interested in that, and then we can see what the best way to put that forward. But as Casey mentioned, and we haven't talked about it too much, but the networking at these events are really great, not only, between the companies and, the investors and the government leaders that are coming, it's really across the board. And this is a conference where the leaders on the government side, they want to hear from you. They want to talk, to you. Everyone is very approachable. And, Casey sometimes talks about this as the unconference, right? Because of how approachable everyone is, and because of the real conversations that are really going on throughout the conference.
Right. So we also, one thing I was saying, it's mostly industry is there, but it's also government. And there's also a lot of investor fund representatives. And we try and especially get them there that first afternoon. And we don't make that part of the payment, like you don't have to fully register, because we're trying to get those investors there. So I think to answer that, we always, like I said, our NewSpace Igniter, we have different levels. When we put it together, we're all baseball fans. So if you think of like the farm team, so we have a level that comes in, they get access to the curriculum that we call them level ups, and access to our expert networks. And then if you get to the AAA, then you get a little more navigation, a little more services, and then you get to elite. That's where we really try and make sure those companies have sort of gone through that, taking their concept to product and ready to be showcased. So we set up these, we call them show space events. So that networking event will be a show space. So we really want to make sure our elite level get plenty of time to tell their story, but then we'll do these little 1 minute ones that we can invite, some of the Hyperspace company cohorts. So go ahead. I think I was going to say, just if you want to find out more information, you can see on the website. We're going to start putting that sign up for the networking day. We're just been crazy busy being at Space Symposium, but we'll have that on our website. But also, you could always email info@newspacenexus.org anytime for any of these questions.
Thanks, Casey, for all of that. And so I've got one more question on the State of the Space Industrial Base Conference, and then we'll move on to some of the other exciting things that NewSpace Nexus is doing. And so if you could share with the audience, I mean, we talked a lot today about, you know, how this report is shaping the national conversation, how it got started. Could you talk about what you're most proud of and include in that the impact that the conference has?
I think what I'm most proud of is when we have some of the companies coming, they always come up to me and are like, "This is the best event ever." Like, I think I'm proud that we set this up where their voice could be heard. And really, NewSpace Nexus, we're all about, as I said in the beginning, we're all about supporting the space industrial base to help them accelerate their pace of innovation. And so to me, that makes me proud that it's like kind of another resource, a way that our space industry can have their voice heard. And you know, I'm also proud of like how it has shaped national conversation, national policy and set up. Like I say, that I really believe that whole ISAM push came from some of the early discussions on like, how do we deal with logistics? And a lot of the conversation was like, okay, launch is coming along, we can get to space now. How do we start setting up to actually operate in space? So not just about getting there. And I also, it's funny because, you know, Honorable Cal Valley has his 9 tenets, and so some of those conversations have come from the early SSIB workshops. And I can tell you, Jeremy Bannock from the NRO on the 2020 SSIB, it was a big push where it was like, we need to start buying, the government needs to start being a better customer. They need to buy from commercial industry instead of, you know, building it themselves. And so he had come up with the tag where it's buy what we can, build only what we must. And then now I know Space Systems Command has it as one of their taglines. It's exploit, buy, build. And so it all comes from where the industry started telling the government, why are you doing these in your labs? We can provide those services, just buy them from us. So that whole thing came about, like, the government needs to be a good customer. They need to really embrace all this commercial innovation that's coming out and buy it, and then just only spend their money for things that are like highly classified or things that they need to, you know, go off and do behind the fence. So that's what I'm proud of. It's like, you know, you could just see it in the conversation, like, hey, that came from our first conference, you know.
Well, and the other thing too that's super exciting, I'll just add about that, is that what you just shared affects everybody on this call, right? Where, you know, buy what we can, build what we must. And there's so much innovation that is out there, you know, also represented through this audience here. And this is all about how we can, you know, build that innovation faster and then remove barriers that are impeding success. And so with that, I'm going to transition a little bit more to NewSpace Nexus. And you highlighted a little bit early on about NewSpace Nexus, but we're going to talk a little bit about other programs that we offer to help support, you know, the space industrial base. Can you share a little bit more about NewSpace Nexus and, you know, why it was established and, you know, the resources that it offers, and then we'll start going into some of the programs.
Okay. Well, like I said, I had a background with the Air Force Research Lab, and just, this is kind of before, you know, commercial space innovation is really coming alongside, but I just saw these space companies don't know how to navigate and they don't see how to, you know, get behind the fence. There are so many federal resources that they just didn't know how to get to. So when I left AFRL, that's where I decided to start. We first started it as NewSpace New Mexico. We rebranded last year to Nexus, but just to everything, if we're just all about the space company, what do they need? Where are their challenges? Where are the barriers? And there's just different things that have come up over and over. Like, some of the smaller companies have trouble getting to high cost equipment, or laboratories have have trouble getting into some of the classified procurements, don't know how to connect in behind the fence. And so that's where actually Erica helped us with that tagline of Unite and Ignite Space. So the first thing we wanted to do was set up, okay, we need to kind of have a way where they could all unite and come together. We have the NewSpace Alliance, which all of your companies, we'd love for you to join. It's on our website. And you know, that's where we get a lot of information out to the different companies. And so we started the NewSpace Alliance. We do some really fun networking. We call it the T5, the third Thirsty Thursday Tech Talks every third Thursday since 2019. Only missed the March 2020 because of the COVID shutdown, but we get together every month and we try and do it hybrid for that as well. It's a little harder because they can't have a beer, you know, but we do it. We did virtual T5s for a while. So we get everyone together and many of the companies, government customers all show up. It's very casual. So anytime you're in the area on the third Thursday, you've got to join us. So that's all about uniting. And then the space industrial base also is that uniting, like bringing the companies together, letting them have a voice. So on the Ignite side, there's, like I say, there's resources with equipment, workforce, being able to just have resources they need. So we have what we call a launch pad. It's sort of an open prototyping lab that we have events there too. Come visit us sometime. And then we're starting out Pathways to the Stars, which is a workforce kind of connecting all the workforce programs from early childhood all the way to graduate programs. And we're trying to get industry, our big industry innovation pipeline in the trenches with us to help get these kids where you mentor, help fund it. We could connect these programs, get them all the way to the space jobs. So that's getting started. And then I talked a little bit about our NewSpace Igniter, and that whole program is really just trying to get these companies to the funding, to the contracts, to the contacts. Did I cover it?
So you covered a lot of it. I think with this audience, especially for those that are alumni with the Hyperspace Challenge, maybe talk a little bit more about the Igniter program and if there are any folks that might be interested in it and who's ideal for participating in that program.
Right. It's actually we're very complimentary, I think, to the Hyperspace Challenge. We've had a few Hyperspace Challenge alumni go through the NewSpace Igniter program. We say the NewSpace Igniter program is more, you know, where the company has a reasonable concept, a prototype. They're ready to start, you know, getting it to product levels and then showcase to the possible funding sources. And so that navigating part, what we do is we have a great team. NewSpace Nexus has a few folks where we have, I don't know, I guess over 100 years of space experience. I'm old and I have a bunch of those years, but we still have, you know, we have others on the team. Then we bring on consultants that have really great experience, like Erica supports, she helps the companies with some of their strategy. We have Carol Welch, who is an amazing navigator. Dan Crouch is on our consulting team, space advisory group. So we have some consultants that they go in and specifically help the companies get to, you know, knowing where to connect in or advising on how to tell their story better. And then the final state of it is where we, you know, set up these showcases so that they can present their tech, their product to where they'll get investments or they'll get government contracts. And I think in the very first year, we worked with 23 companies and we were able to, in 1 year, get them to 25 million in wins. And of that 25 million, 15 was government contracts, 10 of it was investments and investors, but they all, you know, would tell us like it's attributable to our navigation, helping them get, you know, through the system. So happy to have that program because it's all about helping the companies.
No, it's fantastic. And one of the things too that we've really seen that's been great is that, you know, we're providing that support across the innovation pipeline, so end to end. So from, you know, a mature concept to product to sales, again, that's how we talk about it. And then bringing access to, you know, resources, or, you know, customer contract opportunities that are not, you know, it's well beyond just the, you know, the very early stage of you know, starting something new. So when Casey mentioned the equipment connector, providing access for companies to, you know, to use equipment versus having to buy equipment. We've got over 75 pieces of equipment, you know, at the launch pad, with also an extended network to give more access. So again, it's really about reducing all of those barriers down at the individual level, individual company level, from something like the NewSpace Igniter program, but then also how does that bubble up at an industry level? And that's where some of these other programs with the state of the space industrial base, you know, come to play. And again, at the end of the day, it's all about enabling everybody on the call here.
And I do want to say, so the NewSpace Igniter program, the application portal, it's always open, but we you know, every few months go pull what applications are there, evaluate them, and we're going to be pulling applications on the 29th of April. So if any of you want to look into that, apply. We have a number of Hyperspace alumni companies that have gone to the program. It's kind of like, to me, I think the Hyperspace Challenge provides the company sort of an understanding of the marketplace by bringing problem sets from the different government offices, like the last cohort they worked with the Space Rapid Capabilities Office. So it gives the companies like, oh, okay, that's sort of the market of what that organization needs. And so they come up with these concepts, and then they can go into our NewSpace Igniter, and we'll help sort of productize that concept or get it to next level of a prototype, and then start getting you in front of the customers.
Thank you so much, Casey, for that. And I'm just taking a look at the time here, and we're about at our time, and there will be time for questions like Kelly mentioned in the beginning. Do you have any parting messages that you want to share from our conversation for folks today?
Just join us. Go join us in and go sign up for the NewSpace Alliance. If you're not getting the NewSpace Sadler report, let us know. You'll be informed. And if you're a company that's ready for the NewSpace Igniter, go put your application in. And then if you want to help with Pathways to the Stars, we're first looking for program partners to help fund it, but also where the companies can help mentor some of the students along the pathway. Lots of places to join us, and that's my parting message.
No, that's fantastic. And I'll just add one last plug for the State of the Space Industrial Base.
Oh, yeah.
So registration is open for that on the you know, on the website. And then also last year's report just came out. It was delayed a little bit with what's been going on in Congress over the past year. But if you want to get even more of a taste of what's to come, you could download that report from the website, and then you'll get even more insight on how this all comes together, as well as get information that should be useful for you and the place where you sit within the space industrial base.
Right. And we're hosting in the first week of May. We'll be putting that out on our website and like I said, once we get back from Space Symposium, the first week of May, we're going to be hosting sort of the report rollout with the authors of the 2023 SSIB report. So look for that.
Thank you so much, Casey and Kelly. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We're really excited to be able to speak to everybody today, and to do it from Space Symposium, where there's just so much hustle and bustle around the space industrial base. So again, thank you. And then I'll turn it back over to you for any questions.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we've got quite a few here. I'm going to start with the ones that are related to the SSIB. So one, Paul Seymour wants to know, is it recommended to go in person? How valuable is the remote option?
I think we've worked on the AV over the years, so the remote option it works, but it definitely works on the plenary sessions. The working groups is a little harder because just giving your input in person is a little sort of louder than the virtual, but we usually have someone monitoring the virtual side to make sure their comments and questions come through. So I think in person's better, but virtual works.
Okay. And Eric Payne asks, has there been any effort to align SSIB recommendations with the DoD's recent National Defense Industrial Strategy, NDIS?
Yes, we're trying to actually we're trying to get John Plum to come speak because that's a strategy that just was released, but we're working on getting one of their leaders to the SSIB basically to present that strategy.
Great. Okay. And can we visit your booth or any other places at the Space Symposium
Yes.
today to talk further? Where are you guys? Tell them.
So, and Scott Sadler's been great. He's been sending everybody, go see them in 816. It's the most south row of the South Hall, but come see us. They're there right now. Like I said, we're here at Space Camp. Our team gets this big Airbnb and we have a lot of fun. And but Eric and I are gonna head over there to the booth as soon as the webinar is done. So come visit us.
Great. Okay. And this is everybody's favorite question. We'll see how you answer it. What's the difference between Hyperspace Challenge and Igniter?
So I think it's what we talked about. Like the Hyperspace Challenge comes in with basically some problem sets from the organization, which I think is wonderful because it helps the companies see like, okay, that's the market for that customer. They need this. So it's a challenge where these needs are brought to the companies. So then they go off and they develop something like RS-21, for example. Developed space in I think it was a 2020 Hyperspace Challenge and they got first place. Then after that, they just graduated from the NewSpace Igniter program. And so we've been then helping them productize, but really working with introducing them to some of the government customers, been setting up some meetings even in our booth for them this at Space Symposium. So the whole idea is then we get these strategists like Erica helping them tell their story better, helping clean up their product, getting them to, oh, I forgot to say also with the NewSpace Igniter, we have what we call our Igniter Expert Network, and we have over 50 leaders that just volunteer their time and will spend time with the companies. We have like General McCaslin, who used to be the commander of AFRL. We have some investor experts in there, and they'll spend time with the companies to help really take your concept to a product. And then, like I said, as we do that, then we go get you in front of the money. So that's the difference, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess I agree with what you're saying, and I would add that customer discovery is really the key part of Hyperspace Challenge, and like you're saying, like they get that demand signal from the government, and then they can just go and just do this deep dive into customer discovery and just really learn where they should move forward. So yeah, and generally, it changes from year to year how we build it, and we build it around the customer, our government customer. So it changes from year to year, but I definitely think our programs are very complementary, and lots to gain from both. So that's why I think it's good
with us
work
all, right?
so closely together. So that's good.
And I'll just add too, if I might, we've done some joint events together too, and we see great partnerships coming out of that from just some of the great networking, right? So overall, this is just such a wonderful ecosystem to be part of, and the partners are working together and collaborating and, continually enhance our individual and collective efforts so that it's better for the community.
I agree. That's awesome. All right, so we got another question. This one is not necessarily about SSIB. Anonymous attendee asks, how are NewSpace companies growing without diluting their equity? Are there partners that are more open to integrating NewSpace technologies that don't necessarily have in-space heritage into their systems? What resources are available for small businesses to actually capture more non-dilutive funding in a timely manner?
Well, I'd say one of the answers, well, a lot of times like the SBIRs are non-dilutive funding, so those are great to get to. But what I always say, I know they're different, but there's three sources of money we try and help get the companies to, whether it's government contract in front of investors, and that, that's not going to be non-dilutive usually, but also strategic partners like the larger companies. And we work with a lot of the large companies, and they like working with us because they get access to this innovation pipeline that, we're building through, working with companies with the NewSpace Igniter, but also engaging with all these companies that are part of the SSIB and also are part of our NewSpace Alliance. So we have access to that innovation pipeline. So the larger companies like to work with us to be able to get access to that. And that is, I think, a way, one, where you'll get the demonstration and the flight heritage, and, and it's not, you get a chance to get to some of these bigger programs through the medium to large companies.
Okay, and Annie Russell just asked, where's the best place to learn about available SBIRs for space? Do you post on your site for Space Tech or Space Launch?
We actually, one of our partners, SEGS, is the one, they give us a lot of input to the SBIR, but we usually generally know we could get you to the websites. A lot of our experts have that knowledge. And so, send a note to info and we'll try and get you to some of the resources.
Okay.
Yeah, and just if you have any general questions, if you go into info@newspacenexus.org, they'll get you to the right person, and a lot of these resources you're asking about as well, and to the expert network, and to our different consultants and our awesome team. And so we like to say we have a DC office now with Scott Sadler because he's in DC. So just moving on up.
Right. Those are out of this world. All right. So, all right. So I think that's all. If there were any that I missed, I'm sorry. They might be in the chat and I may have missed them, but thank you guys. I've been to the SSIB once in person, and I also went once in COVID before I was even part of Hyperspace. I attended.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I love it. I think it's great. I think it's great that you get the opportunity to just really interact with the group and those working groups, and just totally unique opportunity. And I feel like people should take advantage of that for sure if you can. I did see a question, and thanks again, guys. It's really great having you here. So I did see a question about the Hyperspace Challenge and when that opens up and what we're doing. You guys need to stay tuned because we have some big stuff coming. I'm not ready to talk about it quite yet, but keep tuning in and I'll offer some updates as we go, but should have something more hopefully by mid-May or June, early June. And you'll want to get on our website and check that out. Follow, make sure you open up those emails, because if you don't, it'll stop sending you them. So keep opening up our emails as they come, and we'll update you on what's going on. And just keep tabs on it. That's all I
All
can
right.
say right now. It's
And
exciting.
we'll send it out to our networks too when you're all ready.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. All right, with that, you guys make sure when you close out, there's going to be a survey that comes up. This is your chance to tell us if there's anything that you want to learn more about, any topics you think you'd like to see. Go to our YouTube channel. That's where we have all of our recordings. Watch those, put them on like double time speed. You can rewatch them, get all the information, watch them several times because it's always good if we have several, like we want to boost those numbers for the viewing. So,
Nice.
but there's tons of information there. So go there and check those out. And let's see, our next webinar is going to be on transfer success stories. And we have Doug Campbell, who is a great success story out of New Mexico. He took Solid Power public and he exited from Rocore. And we also have somebody from Hoonify that's going to join us, who's also a local New Mexico success story, getting traction every day. They've got a great product that they're working on, and it came from the lab. So you'll want to learn about
And
that.
they're a new space igniter company.
Yes, and they're a NewSpace Igniter company. And we also have Gary White from Opportunity that's going to join us. He is a consultant and just a really entertaining guy. So you'll want to come join us for that. Looking for our third one. So if you have any suggestions for people you'd like to hear from, let us know. We always want to bring on those people that are of interest to you. So anyway, with that, I'm just gonna say goodbye and thank you. Really appreciate y'all being here and taking time to be with us. And if you have any questions, as always, we're here at Hyperspace to help. And yeah, look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.
Thank
everybody.
you. Goodbye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.